everyone. I've had a question from a few different people around the same thing last couple of weeks. And this is all to do with how do you approach a behaviour problem? Okay, so step one is evaluate the behaviour. Is this happening because your horse has needs that need to be met and are not being met, or need to be addressed at a higher level? So things like aggression, things like separation anxiety, barging, pushing, all these things are usually because the horse is trying to tell you something, trying to communicate something, whether that's to do with pain, whether it's to do with ethological needs not being met. They need something to change within their environment to support them, and that in turn will stop the behaviour. The behaviour itself is a symptom of something else. Firstly, we can look at what the motivation for the behaviour is, and we can change motivation. This is often what we look at in the course quite a lot in terms of altering the management so that they feel safe, or creating opportunities to play so they don't start playing with you in inappropriate ways. So recognising the motivation, putting something in place to address that, not necessarily behaviour. So the next thing we're going to consider in our evaluation is our horse's perception. Now, horses' perceptions are different from ours. Their senses are very different, their information processing is very different, and their brains are structured differently. So they have a much larger amygdala, fear centre, than us. They have a smaller prefrontal cortex. They're very reactive because they're a prey animal, they need to be, so they go into fight and flight very quickly. Once they are in a fight, flight, fiddle about, freeze mode, that means that all their emotions are coming from the limbic system, the emotional centre of the brain. And because of that, the brain is bypassing any thinking and it's going straight to those physical reactions to keep the horse safe. It's a very important part of their evolution. The next thing to consider is, what is your horse saying to you in terms of their communication? Are they happy to see you? Are they wanting you to approach? Are they wanting to join in what you're doing? Alternatively, are they saying, actually, I need a minute, I don't want you in my space right now, I'm feeling agitated, I'm feeling uncomfortable, I don't want to carry on. And then we need to listen to that, even if those responses are very subtle, and we need to recognise what they're talking about. If it's not a symptom, so if it's not being caused by pain and all their needs are met, but it's actually something they've learned. So, for example, maybe they've learned to block you at the gate when you're trying to get in, because they want to get to the food first. They're excited, they want to be near you, they want to get the food. So in this case, the context trigger is the food, and possibly the bucket is a trigger. So you can change the way that we use that management. So we could either put piles of hay out like this for each pony and then put their feed on top, and then just be around to make sure no one steals anybody else's. We could put the bucket through the fence so that the pony is never actually coming. There's always a fence between us. Behaviour disappears because it's no longer being presented. Alternatively, we can take that horse out away from the others, or take the horse that's resource guarding out away from the others, and so there is no more blocking at the gate. So the horse that blocks is the one that comes out, first of all. Depending on your situation, it will depend on which way you go. There is another option as well. What you can do then is train an incompatible behaviour. Okay, so you look at the behaviour you've got, in this case blocking at the gate, and you'll train them to do something that is the opposite to blocking at the gate. So there are two different behaviours you could train that are incompatible to being in your face at the gate. One is back up, and the other is go to a target. You can choose which one you want to do. They both work just as well. So when we're using training as part of a behaviour modification programme, we always tend to use positive reinforcement. The reason for this is that you don't want to add pressure or pain or any punishment or any negative reinforcement on top of a behaviour that already has heightened emotion. But the thing with positive reinforcement is it has to be done well, and it has to be done with a real focus on how is this horse feeling. So if you're not sure about how to do that, find some help before you embark on this. Now, it's not always easy to accurately determine whether your horse's behaviour is a communication or something they've learned. So it's always important to evaluate the full horse's life before you make a decision to go straight to training. Most of the time, I'd say probably 90% of the time, it's a communication, and we need to address the horse's motivation, their perception, and their communication before we go to training. Please also bear in mind that pain, if you ever think that pain could be involved, or if a behaviour has suddenly changed, or the horse that was originally calm is no longer calm, pain needs to be ruled out as much as possible. So getting a physio in, getting a vet in, getting an assessment done must be your first port of call. But that doesn't mean that you can't be evaluating all the other areas of their life at the same time. If you're interested in learning more about any of the areas we've talked about today, then the Horseplay at Home Learning Hub may well be for you. The Horseplay at Home Learning Hub is an applied online equine behaviour course combining video lessons, observations of our horses here in the Highlands, and animation.
So let's delve a little bit deeper.
Knowledge, skills and understanding you need to provide your horse with a life where they can flourish, creating a force-free, horse-centred approach. By the time you've completed the course, you'll be able to accurately evaluate, address, and nurture well-being in your horse, whether that's regarding a behaviour problem or just wanting to give them a better life, the best life possible. Now, the course is constantly being updated as we have new research being published, and we also have monthly study groups that go above and beyond the content in the course. So we have guest speakers, we have discussed new research, we look at case studies. So you're always developing in your learning. Now we are a rapidly expanding community of equine advocates, all becoming experts in developing their horses and the horses around them's well-being. Once you have this information, you can apply it to any horse. You'll always have the answers because you're learning directly from your horse. Now, the greatest thing about this is that you can do it in 15 minutes a day. This is not about training your horse. It's about learning yourself. So it slots into what you're already doing. You don't need hours and hours of training time to do this. In fact, training is the very, very last point on the scale of things. And often by the time you get there, you find you don't need to train behaviours anymore because you've adapted what you're doing so your horse is happy so that they don't need to be resistant or saying they're sad about something that's happening around them. So this sounds like the kind of community that you would like to be involved in. In the description, there's a little link that will take you to a questionnaire. It'll just help me understand if this is the right approach for you. Just fill it in and then we can have a little chat and I'll give you a guided tour of all the resources inside the hub. See you soon.